Why is Order scared of Nihility? And why Acheron, or Radin is the most important character in Penacony? She's the anomaly, and the power that comes from Nihility might just be infinite. In this video, we're going to be literally breaking down everything: her association with the Galaxy Rangers, the nameless gentleman that we saw in these cutscenes, her whole purpose in Penacony in general, why she's the anomaly, and why the Dream Master really wanted to see her gone. Because now we literally know everything about Acheron, but the game sort of tells us in a way that's sort of like less easy to understand, I guess. So I'm going to try to simplify it in a way that makes sense for everybody, but starting off with the actual Eons, Nihility, and Order. Now, I did elaborate this on my Eons video, but Eons essentially are not good. They're not really good beings. They're not evil, like a supervillain, but they're literally a manifestation of the most extreme case of a path or ideology. They're a metaphysical path manifesting into a being or entity in the literal most extreme way possible. And they represent that path or ideology to the most extreme level. That is the point of an Eon. And it doesn't matter which Eon we're talking about. Like Abundance, for example, gives out life and immortality abundantly, regardless of anything. Even if that causes the creation of monsters and the destruction of worlds or civilization. People regarded Yaoshi of Abundance as like a benevolent or good Eon because they give out immortality and life abundantly to whoever wants it, literally whoever wants it. The Eon doesn't do this because they're benevolent. They literally do not care the consequences. They just do their nature, what they're meant to do. They just follow their nature to the absolute most extreme level possible. And Enna of Order is no different. This Eon is obsessed with order and control at all costs, always. This Eon was a big part in quelling the Swarm disaster catastrophe. So this Eon was a great help during that time, recruited a bunch of other Eons, manipulated them, orchestrated everything, and it all worked out pretty well. And every star system or galaxy worlds governed by Enna of Order prospered for a little while, but having absolute order all of the time can't work. So every civilization would eventually decay and crumble. Order is an important concept and you need it in the universe. But to have only order, only control, will ultimately always fail. It has to come at the expense of freedom. But like I said, no moderation. Order does not care how it is achieved. And from the moment you arrive in Penacony, you enter Ina's dream. The dream that is merging with reality and makes it hard for people to decipher. And everyone is so caught up in this collective dream created by the memoria of this world get caught up in it. Memo Keepers, Galaxy Rangers, the Nameless, the IPC, the Masked Fools. Like, you got a bunch of different people here. And the Dream Master and Sunday using Enna's will and a Stellaron to create this world, this dream. Total control, total order. The reason Acheron is an anomaly and isn't affected by this and actually can break through this is the exact reason why the Dream Master asked her to leave at the beginning of 2.2, the same reason she wasn't invited, she infiltrated it, and she's immune to it. She is the definition of somebody that can't be controlled. Acheron and Nihility cannot be contained or controlled in any capacity. And if these Eons represent their ideology to the absolute extreme, then this is literally a checkmate for the Eon of Order and anyone that follows that path or ideology. Not because it's difficult to control and manipulate Nihility, but it's impossible. This Eon was a control freak ever since it came into Eonhood, but Nihility cannot be contained. Nihility is infinite, nothingness, meaningless, an empty, infinite black hole. It cannot be controlled. This Eon breaks the laws of nature, time, and space. Nihility actually physically means non-existence or nothingness. IX is literally opposite of existence. You cannot destroy nothingness. You can't do anything to it. You cannot manipulate or control it. In a way, IX is the opposite of the universe itself, but due to its nature of its path, it can't and won't do anything about it. An Eon will drop dead if it goes against its path. So IX is sort of like dormant. It doesn't interact with anyone or anything at all. Other Eons, mortals, nothing. And it's infinite, which is the exact reason why everyone's so baffled that Acheron can be an emanator of this path, it seems impossible. Herta, who's an emanator of erudition, and some of the most smartest Genius Society and Intelligentsia Guild members can't even figure out this eon. It's the most mysterious of all the eons to them. They don't understand it, because it's infinite nothingness, a black hole that transcends time and space and reality. Besides the fact that Acheron can probably draw infinite power from this infinite black hole that is an eon, how can you control nothing? This eon is like an error in the program that would be order. It can't be contained, it cannot be manipulated, and it cannot be controlled. This is like a system function failure for order, and Acheron was never supposed to be in Penacony to begin with. The ultimate threat to order, and why this eon terrifies order, because if an eon is supposed to live up to their ideology to the absolute most extreme, then this eon can do nothing but fail at what it's supposed to do when talking about Nihility, because you cannot control it. Hence, this eon and anyone associated with order, the Dream Master Sunday, would be absolutely terrified and feel threatened by Acheron. She is quite literally the worst case scenario for Penacony's order. And what the hell is she doing here? She's not supposed to be here. Why is she on Penacony? And some of the other names that this eon has been given is the all-consuming black hole and the dark sun. Like, even in our own real world, we barely understand what a black hole is. They say that it's matter crushed into infinite density. It's the final destination for anything falling into its event horizon. What does that even mean? They say a black hole is so strong that nothing, including light and other electromagnetic waves, is capable of processing enough energy to escape it. So now that we've clearly established why order cannot control Nihility, it's impossible. It's the ultimate force of nature that cannot be controlled, contained, manipulated in any capacity. So naturally, order would be terrified of Nihility. But what about Acheron? How can she draw this eon's power? That's a whole crazy thing in itself. Like I said, nobody understands why. Donghung, as soon as he heard this, he's like, impossible. IX doesn't really even interact with anything. It can't, it won't. How? How can someone be an emanator? We know that emanators are immensely powerful. We have the Lord Ravengers, Black Swan, and all Memo Keepers are said to be emanators of the Remembrance that collect dreams, collect all knowledge of the universe in case one day it collapses. So Black Swan and other Memo Keepers have seen so much that you would think nothing can faze them. And yet, when Black Swan takes a peek into infinite nihility and nothingness, she's traumatized. Freaks her right out. Acheron might be the strongest emanator we've seen so far. I think in terms of the sheer scale of the eon, the only ones that kind of rival this one or might exceed it is Finality and Equilibrium, in my opinion. But IX is up there. Now as for Acheron, revealed to be another carnation of Ruin Mei, who would have thought, right? Even her name translates to the river in the underworld. In a sense, she's like a herald or undertaker of Nihility. Why she connected with this eon is because she's a self-annihilator. Basically, these are individuals who inadvertently stepped into the shadow of IX and Nihility, and from that moment, have lost the meaning of their own existence. Aimlessly traversing the cosmos, they are also casting the shadow of this eon around the universe. As for the few who can single-handedly withstand the encroachment of Nihility on their existences, their journey of self-annihilation is drawn out to infinity, and the road they walk is like a shadow of IX cast in the world. The more you read about the eon and people associated with it, the crazier it gets. And Acheron isn't just any self-annihilator, she's actually an emanator. And because we know that once we entered Penacony and the Asdenia system, that we entered the dream, and dream and reality were merging together under Anna's dream, everything that Acheron did was intentional and all precisely planned. We learned in 2.2 that there were 3 nameless that established themselves in Penacony. The watchmaker, obviously, Razdana, one of them being a man named Tiernan. Now, many wars took place on Penacony, freeing from the IPC control, and different civil wars within, Stellaron problems, you name it. But Tiernan, a nameless, would join the Galaxy Rangers, and these Galaxy Rangers would actually take down and kill a Lord Ravenger of Destruction, Zulo, similar to Fantilia. But his fellow Galaxy Rangers persisted after death, which was a direct side effect of the Hunt's connection with abundance, like we see with the enemies that can kind of come back to life after you kill them. Acheron helped guide these lost souls to their lives beyond. Same for Tiernan. She took the Galaxy Ranger relic and went to Penacony, just to appear as a Galaxy Ranger to draw out an actual Galaxy Ranger who we know now as Boothill, who are known as recluses or sort of off-the-grid MIA. There was no other way to get the attention of a Galaxy Ranger, as they are very elusive. Tiernan could never return to Penacony as he was blocked and banned from the family. And in another way, I guess Acheron sort of acts as like a gateway or wayfarer, guiding the path of the abyss of Nihility and guiding lost souls. She promised Tiernan, the nameless Galaxy Ranger, that he would be remembered. Acheron would then give this relic to Boothill, and that scene with Acheron where she cuts through Penacony fabrics of time in the dream, and using her sword as an emanator of Nihility, she cut an opening for the Galaxy Ranger Boothill to summon more Galaxy Rangers to Penacony. Basically summoned all of his homies there. But the reason they needed more Galaxy Rangers is, like Sunday said repeated amount of times, Penacony kind of became like a hive mind of the Order, and it's been this way for a long time, so they needed a fresh bunch of people with fresh dreams and desires. That is the only true way to break everyone free out of Enna's dream. Acheron was not able to actually do this because that is one downside in Nihility. Acheron is nothingness and represents that as an emanator of the black hole. Acheron could have just sliced everyone down, but that wouldn't have solved the big overarching problem in the long run, because all of Penacony and Asdana work as a collective hive mind system under the control of Enna's dream world and order. The only way to weaken it is to call for people outside the system that have free-thinking minds not caught up in this long-term dream. Dan Heng was going to use his relic to call the La Fu fleet, but Boothill suggests that he saves that card for another time because you can only play that trump card once. We saw that trump card played in the fake ending that we saw, and the more people introduced to the Asdana system makes order weaker, and posing as a Galaxy Ranger just made sense. As for why she killed Duke Inferno, well, that was just purely to steal his invitation to get there and infiltrate Penacony. And like we talked about so much in this video already, another reason why Acheron is such a threat to Order, Enna's dream, and the family. Not only was she immune to this dream, but she was able to cut through the fabrics of this dream and essentially was the catalyst of this whole orchestrated plot's demise. Sunday's whole plan of complete control and order, the prison that is the dream world of Penacony. Without Acheron ever being present in Penacony, would it have been possible for everyone to be trapped within this dream, not knowing the difference between dreams and reality? I guess we'll never know. But I do hope you enjoyed this video on the complete breakdown of Acheron and her whole entire plotline within 2.2. I don't think this character is going to be much more significant in Penacony, but I don't think by any means that she's not going to show up again in the story, maybe in our next chapter. She's an immensely powerful individual, so I'm sure we'll see her in some important plot lines down the road. But let me know what you thought of her story in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Like and subscribe to help grow the channel. If you'd like to see more content like this, I really do appreciate y'all watching this far. And as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.